Hi there. Welcome to Rumble. Sup, morons? My name's Windette, and welcome to Earthbending in VR! This game is insane! From high explosives to dual-wielding to flight-based aerial combat! This game takes Earthbending to a whole nother level, and only a year and a half after its initial release, it still feels like we're only barely scratching the surface!
For virtual desktop, which is what I'm using right now, oh god.
Rumble is difficult, fast-paced, innovative. It's exhilarating, exhausting, confusing, frustrating, and above all else, highly addictive. Rumble is the VR equivalent of bashing your useless head against a brick wall over and over until finally getting something cool to happen and then having absolutely no idea what the fuck you just did.
It's not working. Why? Don't know what I'm doing wrong. Oh my god, it worked. Why?
There are no buttons in this game. Ignore that. Any action you perform, whether intentional or not, is the exclusive result of you throwing up VR gang signs in the hopes of launching yet another explosive cube at the nearest unwilling participant. But before we get ahead of ourselves and try biting off more than we can chew, let's start at the beginning. Hi, I'm Windette, and welcome back to my channel, where I bully you mindless idiots into getting games that will trick you into exercising, force you into socializing, and make you feel useless without me needing to do anything. Today, on Explained in Insults, we're taking a look at the brutal and punishing world of Rumble. And yes, I did buy a VR headset just for this game, and it was fucking worth it! Part 1! Alright, let's see what you morons are getting yourselves into. To start off, the beginning of Rumble is split into 3 separate parts: practice, combat, and belts.
How do you keep your pants up when you're performing? It's incredible.
Belt.
Practice is where you idiots will be spending most of your time here, because in order for you to engage in player versus player combat, you first need, well, friends, along with the basic human ability to get over how unbelievably socially awkward you lot are. Practice involves 2 things: theory and repetition. And repetition. Wait, the theory is the easy part. Step 1 is to summon an object, and step 2 is to modify it.
That means punching it real hard.
All you need to do is start in the ready position with both your hands palm up and by your sides, and then strike a pose to summon an object. Strike a pose to... Strike a pose? Okay, so it seems that even the easy parts are gonna be fucking impossible for someone like you, because it turns out that the second you step foot on this mountaintop, wherever the fuck that is, Rumble assigned you the permanent passive ability simply known as a crippling skill issue, which will persist indefinitely until someone else comes along to fix it. Guess whose job that is? But before I go too fast again and fry your pathetic brains out, let's talk combat. Part 2! Combat in Rumble is a one-on-one endeavor, where your only 2 opponents are the person standing directly in front of you, and yourself. You both spawn rocks to hit each other with, and the first person to lower their opponent's health to 0 wins. Simple. Except it's not! I know what I'm working with here, and there's no way you dumbasses aren't going to figure out some elaborate way to delete your entire health bar without your opponent needing to lift a fucking finger. I can't trust you lot not to jump straight off the nearest cliff, let alone not crush your own skulls in with a giant fucking boulder. Point is, the biggest threat to your existence is, and forever will be, yourself. And if I'm going to fix that, along with everything else, we're going to have to give that noggin of yours a little more than 2 brain cells fighting for 3rd place. Starting at the most appropriate of places, ground fucking 0. There are 7 levels to mastery in Rumble. White belt, yellow belt, green belt, blue belt, red belt, black belt, and... You okay?
Don't ask.
Welcome to White Belt. You start here, where you belong. You can summon pillars, throw discs, and punch things to relieve stress. You might think this is a very basic skill set, which it is. I know what I'm working with here. But don't be too discouraged, because even with the bar set about as low as humanly possible, you'll still find ways to disappoint me. Despite the simplicity of your current kit, did you know that you can summon a disc and punch it at the same time? Which launches the damn thing at Mach f***ing 5! Please note, this is a terrifying thing to be on the receiving end of.
Fucking
You can also summon a second pillar under a previous one and then punch to spring it up and over structures. Neat. Or you could just do what everyone expects you to and struggle to summon literally anything. Remember, you suck at this. It's not the game's fault, you are the only mistake here. If the thing's not doing the thing, you're the problem. Fix it. Disc not spawning? Fix it. Pillar not pillaring? Again, stop misplacing your fucking hands and fix it. Stomp not stomping? For God's sakes! Hands apart, palms inwards, lift them slightly, and...
Cheese.
Good form in Rumble is everything. And if you want to get to this level where spawning 1,000,000 cubes a second just looks like you're throwing up a bunch of haphazard VR gang signs, then fix your fucking form. Now where was I? Part 4! Alright, if you lot want to stop sucking so much, then first, might I suggest that you kindly stop deep-throating your ineptitude and pay attention. Maybe this way you might actually learn something. First up, go to the map, select a region, waddle your way over to the console, select any rank, pull down the lever, and then wait to get a match. Okay, so it looks like the problem of you lot not having any friends has come back to bite you in the ass, because nobody here wants anything to do with you. To fix this, you're going to have to join the Shoeless Dojo Discord server, the perfect place to meet like-minded Earthbenders in your quest for rock mastery. Ask to spar, chat in VCs, and much more. So what are you waiting for? Join the Shoeless Dojo Discord server today. Oh, hey, look, we got a match. All right, time to test your mettle.
3, 2, 1, fight!
Well, this is awkward. Turns out your level of stupid might be contagious, because literally everyone in Rumble sucks when they first start out. What a surprise. Thankfully, regardless of whether you win or lose here, both of you gain XP, which brings each of you closer to unlocking your next belt. With new belts comes new abilities, new structures, and 1,000,001 new ways to fuck it all up. So, now that you've survived your first encounter, what did we learn? You're such a disappointment. Speaking of disappointments, you know what I have? Gamer subs. Hey, no, we're not skipping this. The most replayed section is not 10 seconds from now. This is important. Gamer subs don't sell banana flavor. It's the best fruit, and yet it doesn't exist. This is inexcusable. I already created the code, wormed my way into their ranks, gained their trust, but what the fuck have you morons been doing? If you haven't been using the code, then how the hell am I supposed to trick them into making something that actually tastes like banana milkshake? More code means more street cred, means they trust me, means banana flavor. I can't do this without you. And if you skipped this, then you missed the secret I hid in the top left at the very beginning of this stupid tangent. Now where was I? Part 5! Alright, by this point I think it's safe to say that your arms and shoulders are practically falling off at the hinges, but we're not done yet. As you play and unlock new belts, you'll also unlock new skills that infinitely add to the game's complexity. You begin with only one projectile, one structure, and one modifier. 2 belts later, and you've already doubled the number of things you can spawn, and can now ground objects, cementing them to the floor. You can kick or uppercut structures, popping them up and into the air, or you can combine these moves together to form some pretty neat combos. By Blue Belt, you've finally gotten your grubby little mittens on every summonable structure in the game, alongside some pretty powerful movement options. And then you reach Red Belt, the belt that flips Rumble completely on its head. Earthbending used to be no more than throwing around rocks and practicing your dodging skills, but now you get to play God. Dodging? That's cute. Excuse me while I just bend space and fucking time. Now with enough practice, literally nothing can touch you. Parry this, you filthy casual? Yeah, I think I will. At this point, the skill ceiling for Rumble has practically been shattered. No matter how big the object or how fast it's traveling, you can stop anything you want dead in its tracks.
Hey, isn't that like totally overpowered?
Oh, you think parry is overpowered? Yeah? Well, how about fucking fucking telekinesis! Who gives a shit that this boulder is literally 7 times my fucking size? Get over here, you little rat! I'm not done with you yet! The implementation of parry and hold single-handedly shifted the explosive growth of the Rumble skill tree from being brilliantly inspired to fucking deranged! It led to better defense, faster attacks, structure reversals, slingshots, waterbending, puppet masters, controlled flight, chambering, parry stasis, battering rams, hold flight, safe flight setups, and can be used to drive your car to work in the morning so your little feet don't get hurt. But there's one more belt in Rumble, and while not an absolute powerhouse, the skills it offers are the very thing that separate the aspiring Earthbender from the clinically insane. Black Belt feels like the end of a very long and hard-fought journey. You've learned more than you can fathom, and yet it still feels like you're only just getting a hang of the basics. It's taken so long, and it also feels like you got here all too quickly. Flick and Explode. The two abilities that come with Black Belt that hold the potential to change how you play Rumble almost from the ground up. Flick is very similar to Hold. They both allow you to lift objects many times your size, but the difference lies in that Flick also lets you control the rotation. It's a nuanced function with seemingly very little application, but we'll come back to that. Explode, on the other hand, is fairly straightforward. Any structure modified with it will detonate once it breaks. The explosion pushes everything around it backwards and ungrounds any structure within its radius. It's easy to see how Explode could be useful on a map like this, where there's a cliff right there that you can literally just walk off. But what's the deal with Flick? It feels like whatever you're holding is attached to a giant rubber band that never seems to let go. The rotation thing seems to have some utility, but it still feels out of place. What if Flick is just not meant for combat? What if we're fighting an uphill battle destined for failure? What if we're just not thinking outside the box? Okay, think. Flicking something always has one constant. It always comes back. There's got to be some way to effectively use this in a fight, but what? What if you jumped in the air while flicking something and had the structure come to you from underneath? Bam! Flight discovered. But there's a problem. Flicked structures almost always break on you instead of just pushing you around. Using this in a fight feels dangerous. Not to mention that flick-only flight already feels so stretchy and hard to control. But what if you used hold as well as flick at the same time to get more control? Bam! Controlled flight discovered. Even if it has a longer setup time, the added control is a total game changer, and this is where flick would have stayed if it wasn't for this fucker named Shoeless, who decided that control flight was way too slow and learned to control flick-only flight anyway. He single-handedly managed to figure out how to stop flick structures from breaking on him while airborne, and this led to an endless slew of aerial combat maneuvers. From alley-oops to rabaroos, high dives to comets, this playstyle took Earthbending to a whole new frontier. And while difficult, punishing, and unbelievably dangerous, it totally changed the way Rumblers thought about flick. If you want to see this entire arc in movie-length format, watch this video. You will not regret it. And almost as if that wasn't enough, the developers of Rumble tweaked the stickiness of hold, leading to the development of ground-based hold moves like the Puppet Masters, which could be added to flick setups for an even more devastating combo. It truly seemed like Rumble was destined for the skies until players figured out their own counters to the style. As aerial flick became more prevalent, so too did the use of anti-air counters. The Rumblers weren't just sitting around, they were evolving. And I mean, look at this shit. At what point do you just call it a day and realize that there's no end to how much stuff you can learn in this game? What the fuck is chambering? Oh my god, I have to try that. There's something called stasis launching? Who even comes up with this shit? Okay, I think it's reasonable to believe that there are some pretty cool moves here, like alley-oops and puppet masters, but when you see something called Weaver of Fate, you start to get the impression that maybe things have gone a little too far. Reaching Black Belt now feels like it was just the beginning, and it is! Rumble has become the very definition of competitive drive. As players get better in order to beat one another, they inadvertently bolster the skill ceiling for the rest of the community. The potential is endless. The variation is limitless. The level of skill required for every single piece of tech in this game just keeps rising. Flick used to be used almost exclusively for flight until this shoeless hobo decided to flip the meta on its head and weaponize the damn thing. Like, what the fuck do you do against this, play? Flick use was already fucking fucking insane. Now this is what we have to look forward to? Hey, can you tell me the move sequence for something called a windsurfer?
Okay, the windsurfer. Summon a wall, another wall, uppercut the first wall, dash, hold, jump, flick, jump. If you pull it too fast into yourself, you'll end up flying off the map. If you pull it too slow, it will end up breaking it. You're gonna need to find the perfect window.
And it's not just flick. It's reaching the point where people are discovering consistent setups that utilize the explode mechanic to chain launch structures around fucking corners. Seriously, who even comes up with this shit? Oh. It's Biven. And who on God's earth managed to figure out that grounding an object in mid-air while simultaneously hovering your hands just barely above head height would cause the structure to gently descend just above the ground before slingshotting itself directly at the user like it's attached to a giant rubber fucking bed? It's stuff like this that makes me forget it all started with toppling pillars and punching discs. Part 6! Okie dokie, I'm gonna leave Timmy over here to his own devices while we talk about something very important. The sound. Rumble is a simple game. You spawn rocks, smash them together, yeet them at walls, or slam them into other people's skulls. There's not much else to the game aside from that, so what on earth makes it all so satisfying? Rumble is crunchy. The sound of bashing somebody's head in with a fucking boulder is just so thick. It's so deep and solid and satisfying. You can hear what structures your opponents have summoned. You can feel when something explodes. You know when you're dealing damage because it's all just so chunky. And it's not just the sound. Even the rocks themselves know how much damage they're dealing. Hit someone with a disc, sure, it hurts them, but it breaks instantly and barely gives them more than a pathetic little nudge to the side. There's no oomph to it. But a boulder? This thing makes you wait. It doesn't just break on impact, it makes you think about what you've done. The more damage you're dealing, the longer the payoff takes to happen. And this makes everything so satisfying.
You're gonna get clobbered.
Rumble makes everything feel awesome. Listen to the rushing winds as you fly yourself through the air. Feel the heft and weight of different structures as you flick and fling them around. Tell me, when you see this image, why is there no doubt in your mind as to what's about to happen next? It's just obvious, right? And that's no accident. Rumble as a VR game has been carefully crafted so that everything you do feels and sounds exactly how you want it to. Rumble amazes me. It's limitless, it's difficult, it's frustrating, and it's fun. I'm so lucky I found this game, and I'm beyond grateful that I get to share it with you morons. There's so much joy in learning with others, in meeting new players, in challenging yourself, in failure. By being competitive, teaching others, being bested time and time and time again, we grow. As part of such a tightly knit and driven community of Earthbenders, I'm so proud to have my greatest achievement be to help and inspire others.
Fucking nailed it!
This little community of ours is growing by the second. We teach each other, hang out in parks, argue with one another, train again and again and again, and love every second of it. From the exhaustion to the frustration to the outright awe at seeing others perform what can only be described as miracles. This game will forever amaze me.
Get some. Yes!
A huge thank you to the Rumble community for making this video happen. You guys are incredible. I want to personally thank Ulvac for spearheading the Rumble modding community, helping me set up Live, and designing a slew of helpful mods himself like the health bar remover, nameplate hider, and many more. I want to thank Pep and Cactus for designing and creating a fully functioning static 3D camera just for Rumble. Without it, half of the shots used in this video would not have been possible. Big shoutouts to Karjo for his stellar acting and setting up the intro sequence with me. Thanks to Roby, Slaza, and Mem for helping me gather footage and being brilliant sparring partners. Thanks to Park and Acorn for letting me clip you idiots like 300 times in the making of this video. And, of course, if it wasn't for Mr. Hobo Toes himself, with his brilliant storytelling and fantastic cinematography, I would never have found this game. Shoeless, I'm sorry. I know you just want to play Rumble, but I have to do this.
Morons! Assemble!
Alright, asshats, you know the drill. There's a link on screen, link in the description, link in the comments section, and for Christ's sakes, it's time to wreak havoc. If you liked this video, you're gonna love Shoeless. I kid you not when I say that I have watched his flick video over 20 consecutive times because, in my opinion, this is the greatest video on the internet. Flood his comments section, like all of his videos, subscribe to his second channel, join the Discord of his, it's free! For crying out loud, unsubscribe from my stupid Patreon and subscribe to his. Why? Because he teaches you how to fucking edit! This dumbass is the gold fucking standard for what a content creator should be. Go show him some fucking love. His ass deserves it more than even he believes. Before I go, huge shout out to my little community of artists. You guys impress me every day. And if you'll excuse me, I need to go bully a green belt into fixing his goddamn disc pose again. And go get Rumble. We need more white belts to go teach each other. Maybe go outside, get yourself some fresh air or something. I don't know, maybe make a sandwich. Anyways, bye.